Gauteng Finance MEC Lebogang Maile has acknowledged that while significant progress has been made in stabilising the provincial economy, more still needs to be done. Maile presented the 2024 medium-term budget policy statement today, which underscored the province's financial challenges. Earlier this year, Maile warned that without careful financial management, the provincial government could face bankruptcy by 2025. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Makhoali spoke to him a little earlier.
Gauteng Finance and Economic Development MEC Lebogang Maile has used the provincial medium-term budget to outline some of the spending pressures in the province. As you know, Gauteng is one of South Africa's richest province, contributing about 40% to the GDP. But despite this economic contribution, the province is marred by various issues, including high unemployment, dysfunctional municipalities, as well as, of course, ballooning debt. I am joined by the MEC just to give us a summary, perhaps, of what his medium-term budget entailed. MEC, it felt like a balancing act between spending priorities for sectors like education, health, social development, while at the same time considering weaker revenue that's coming into the province.
Thank you very much, Veronica. It's true, we had to balance, and it's a very difficult balance to make because in the next 5 years, meaning in this term, we will be losing money for a number of reasons, including what we will be paying for e-tolls, the accruals, our equitable share, and we also have other challenges like medical legal claims in the Department of Health that are not, you can't predict, but then you have to make sure that you always cushion the vulnerable and the poorest of the poor, and we had to make sure that we don't have any job losses in health, we don't have any job losses in education, whilst trying to also increase our revenue, and we are going to work very hard towards increasing our revenue.
And I think as well, MEC, the biggest elephant in the room is that mounting debt. Despite the e-toll debt of 20 billion that you have said as a provincial government, you would be able to keep your heads above water in regards to addressing that issue. There are other still, debts that are occurring around in the province. Would you mind just detailing on how that affects the province and perhaps even the livelihood and the cost of living for some of the residents in Gauteng?
Well, we only have two main debts. It's e-tolls and the accruals. And the other things are just budget cuts. That's why we have to look at boosting and increasing our revenue. We have looked at what areas can help to boost the revenue. We've got a revenue enhancement strategy, which we will unveil when we present the main budget, so that the citizens can have a sense and certainty that things are not falling apart. Yes, there are difficulties, but we are doing our best to manage the situation.
And in your adjustment there, we saw a key focus on sectors such as health, education, social development. The amount of it going to health, about 600 million, if I stand to be corrected. But what I want to understand is how do we ensure that these departments will be able to use this money as we've seen rollovers taking place?
That's a good question. We must make sure that departments use the money. And that's why we said to them, for the main budget that's coming, if you underspend, we certainly going to start by cutting your budget before we even talk about other priorities. But secondly, we are monitoring the budget regularly on a monthly basis. But thirdly, where there are challenges, we provide support and work with the departments, including looking at providing knowledgeable, skilled personnel to help the more complex and bigger departments. So we are having a plan of making sure that we don't underspend.
Well, thank you for your time, MEC. That was the Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development. They're speaking, giving really a summary of the provincial medium-term budget, speaking about essentially the roadmap for the province in terms of boosting certain sectors and where money essentially will be prioritized in the province. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Veronica Makhoali at the Gauteng Legislature in Johannesburg.